So is it then primarily for the first however many years, are you just teaching gospel only? Are you starting at Genesis and working your way forward? How does that look like for a people that have been cut off from the scriptures primarily? There's always the underhanded and seedy, Bible smugglers that come in
and along with that, so this was a former Soviet Union, so where did these seminaries come from? I mean, did they just spring up overnight, or were they always there, or how? What was?
Yeah. So. First of all, the Ukrainian people and all of the peoples of the former Soviet Union are, they very highly value education. So even in the Soviet era, there were great efforts made to preserve theological texts. There was quite a lot of effort and a lot of risk put into enabling Bible courses, correspondence-based Bible courses during the Soviet era. And so there wasn't a complete absence of theological education in the Soviet era. It was highly restricted. It was difficult. There weren't kind of brick and mortar schools opened up. But the folks there did in the perspective of the context that they were in, it's actually really impressive what they were able to do in the area of theological education. When the Iron Curtain falls, then they're able then to bring all of that kind of out in the open and
kind of pent up stuff just kind of burst out. Right?
Exactly, right. And you also had a pent up desire for theological education, right? And so there was just those initial classes in the early '90s when the different seminaries were being formed. There was waiting lines to get in, and a really exciting time. And I kind of missed out on all of that. Those were the exciting '90s, and by the time I arrived in the early 2000s, theological education was already very well developed. There were already national professors who had advanced degrees. In fact, within a few years after I arrived, my Ukrainian colleagues, in terms of their degree status and other things, were far beyond me, and so the role really that I tried to have there was a supplemental role, just kind of filling in where there were gaps, where there was a need, and the most frankly, kind of humorous and stretching for me as well as for my students. Example was 1 year the Ukrainian Greek professor had taken another position in another city and had kind of done so kind of unexpectedly, and so there was a need for someone to teach Greek, and I had never taught Greek before. Greek is not a specialty area for me, but of of those of us who were available to teach at that particular block of time, no one had taught Greek before, and I was the only one who had Greek. So, I got voluntold. Yeah. I got voluntold.
Up to your lowest common denominator.
Yeah, exactly. So, at that point, it's like the A team is down, the B team is down. Bring in the water boy. You see, he's at least seen football before, right? So, and it was a stretching experience. It was a great learning experience for me. It was tough for me, tough for the students. But we got through it, and the ones that put in the work were able to pass their exams at the end. But it wasn't suggested on the Ukrainian end or mine that we would repeat that experience.
Yeah. You're just priming the pump when they get someone who's proficient in it. Then they're like, oh, that was great.
Well, the Lord brought a Ukrainian, young Ukrainian man, and then also an American missionary who came in and filled in the Greek grammar and then exegesis side remarkably well, and so it began to flourish shortly after the stopgap guy was gone.